At the beginning, the useless young man was expelled by the sect and traveled far away. After enduring hardships, he once again embarked on the path of immortality. With an unstoppable start, his cultivation progressed greatly, step by step reaching the peak of cultivation. Finally, he shattered the void and flew up to the upper realm, starting a new journey. Chapter 17. Crossing the Sea of Death. You are listening at novelfull.audio. It took a day to finally walk out of Peach Blossom Creek, and everyone quickly stood up with swords and rushed forward. Xuancheng still flew ahead, and the distance between the three groups was widened. After flying for most of the day, a large desert blocked everyone's way. The desert area had no air restrictions, either taking a detour or crossing on foot. The cultivators in front each chose different ways. After discussing with everyone, Xuancheng decided to hike through the desert, and the map marked this desert as the Sea of Death, a very scary name. Everyone took big strides and quickly advanced along the footprints in front of them, walking for more than 20 miles. A cultivator's body appeared in front of them. In the early stage of the third layer of qi refining, there was a deep blood hole on the back, which was attacked and killed by some monster. Everyone should be vigilant, use your divine sense to search the surroundings, be careful of sneak attacks, and try to get the team closer and protect each other. Xuancheng reminds everyone that we have not gone far again, and there are many bloodstains on the sand, large and large. It is obvious that these are not human blood, but were shed by hunted monster beasts. It is unknown what kind of monster beasts they are, and it is estimated that the corpses of the monster beasts have been taken away by the cultivators. Yichen dared not be careless and opened up his divine sense to search carefully. Not long after, within Yichen's divine awareness range, a strange monster appeared in the sand in the distance. Its body shape was like a crocodile, but it had wings on its back. It was estimated that when launching a sudden attack, it would be very fast. If the cultivator was not careful, it would be fatal. Yichen held his green steel sword tightly in his hand, while the Moyun shield protected his side. The flying sword and small copper bell were ready to attack at any time. Soon, a monster finally couldn't bear it and launched a surprise attack on the second group. However, the leader of the second group, a mid-stage cultivator in the 5th level of qi refining, had a long spear that pierced through the monster's head with one shot, and the monster died. On the spot, the body was then placed in a storage bag. It turns out that this kind of monster is causing trouble. Upon seeing the physical object, the cultivators were not nervous anymore. The harm of only 1st and 2nd level monster beasts was limited, and their combat power was only equivalent to that of cultivators below the 4th level of qi refining. Moreover, they were single-handedly giving away cultivation resources to team-up cultivators who were on high alert. The road ahead became much easier. The three groups were lined up in a row, distancing themselves from each other like a rake. All the monsters hidden under the sand where they passed were caught in the storage bags of the monks. The next day, while harvesting their prey, the monks chatted and laughed lightly, creating a relaxed and comfortable atmosphere. 3 days later, after passing through the Sea of Death desert and catching up with the large army ahead, we entered a hilly area crisscrossed with ravines. The map marked this area as still belonging to the peripheral area, which is the land of the black eagle. There is a kind of social demon bird, the black eagle, which looks like both crows and eagles and can crow like a crow. It also has sharp claws and beaks like eagles. It is half the size of an adult, and there are hundreds of them in groups, with the highest cultivation level being only 1 level. Most of them are less than 1 level, but the black eagle is magnificent. Hundreds of them attack together, covering the sky and earth, and the destructive power was also very terrifying. Many people in the front team lost their lives at the mouth of the black eagle. Fortunately, these black eagles only active during the day when the sun sets and the black eagle returns home. The black eagle left the nest to search for food, and received this crucial news from the cultivator in front. Xuancheng decided to hide during the day and fly his sword over this hilly area after the sun sets. As the sunset set, half of the sky turned red with colorful hues. It was breathtaking and beautiful. On the horizon in the distance, the blood-like sunset changed into various forms. Huge black eagles flew from all directions towards the center of the hill, and the unpleasant moans of the black eagles were everywhere. Before long, the sky became dim and the surroundings gradually quieted down. Yi Chen, who was hiding in the cave, pushed away the green grass covering the cave entrance and jumped out of the ground one by one. In no time, more than a dozen escape lights cut through the night sky and flew straight towards the core area. The next day at dawn, a group of cultivators fell into the escape light and landed on the ground outside the central area. Central area. The aura here is rich, which is 2 or 3 times more than that of the outside world. When you take a deep breath, you feel comfortable all over. The aura of the aura here grows in such a dense environment, and naturally it grows better than the aura of the outside world. Both the type and the aura contained in it are far more than that of the outside world. Therefore, this huge area is rich in all kinds of aura herbs, as well as all kinds of low-level monster animals. It is the favorite place of low-level monks in the secret world. The first monks have started a crazy daifengshu, salad of assorted fresh vegetables. Zhou Zhentian stood in front of everyone and loudly asked, "Fellow Taoists, we have safely arrived at the central area. Next, should we pick spiritual herbs here to hunt monsters or go to other areas? Let's share our opinions and discuss before taking action. I think there are so many abundant resources here, aren't we all here for these resources? There's nothing to discuss, start harvesting resources immediately. I don't think it's that simple, there's no such good thing. I always feel like there's a conspiracy inside, but I can't say what's wrong. In short, we can't go with the flow. We need to have our own alternative choices," said Li Tai. "I think we should move towards the core area, where is our destination and where resources are more worth exploring," said another cultivator. "Why don't we harvest resources from the periphery of the core area in the opposite direction, so that no one can compete with us? I think we can directly search towards the center of the core area, while searching for spiritual medicine to hunt down monsters and searching for the ancient cultivator's cultivation cave. Wouldn't it be better to kill 2 birds with 1 arrow?" Almost everyone had their own ideas, and in the end, only Yi Chen remained silent. Zhou Zhentian gestured for Yi Chen to also speak up. Yi Chen cleared his throat and asked loudly, "Fellow Taoists, I have a question to ask. Everyone, think about it. If you were high-level members of the immortal spirit sect, would you open the sect's secret realm? What kind of reward would you be satisfied with if you opened the secret realm? Or to put it another way, the purpose of opening up the secret realm is to create a big pit for all the scattered cultivators to work for the immortal sect, hone the disciples of the immortal sect with their lives, and use the blood donated by the scattered cultivators to irrigate the flowers of the immortal sect and grow vigorously. I estimate there may be a huge conspiracy in this. The first step is to have the scattered cultivators pick elixirs to hunt down monsters, the second step is to dispatch elite disciples to seize the harvest, hunt down the scattered cultivators, and the third step is to intentionally leave a small portion of the scattered cultivators, give them a way to survive, and block everyone's mouths. This approach can not only harvest more resources, but also hone the disciples and increase their practical combat experience. If we grow up quickly, our situation will be very dangerous. In the end, we will not escape misfortune, and we will surely end up with our lives here. Another question, when will they be? Where is the place to start a casual repair? In my personal opinion, it should take at least 20 days to set up an ambush in the core area after half a month, followed by hunting, picking elixirs, and hunting monsters in the central area. The core area is not large and the terrain is complex, which is conducive to using formations to ambush and kill cultivators. The large area of the central area allows scattered cultivators to harvest from outside to inside, and ultimately gather outside the core area, which is conducive to hunting. So I believe that we should first harvest from the central area in the middle, and by the time other cultivators reach the outer line of the core area, we have already entered the core area for 4 or 5 days. Finally, we should set up an ambush in the core area to ambush the disciples of the immortal sect who entered the formation and counter-encircle them. If the fairy gate did not have this plan, we would not have suffered any losses. When we harvest, there is no one around to compete with us, and we can maximize our benefits. After Yichen finished speaking, all the cultivators lowered their heads in contemplation, and no one spoke. After half a burning incense stick, Xuancheng asked, "What do you think of Yi Daoyou's inference? Is his proposed action plan feasible? Let's raise our hands to vote." Those who agree with Yi Daoyou's plan will raise their right hand, those who abstain will raise their left hand, and those who oppose will not raise their hands. I agree. I also agree, any harvest is fine, and Yi Daoyou's plan is more reliable. I object, I think it's more reassuring to follow the crowd. There are a total of 19 people. 15 people agree, 3 people oppose, and 1 person abstains. What should we do? Those who agree and abstain can continue to follow the team, while those who oppose can leave on their own or continue to stay. Farewell, everyone, take care of yourself. Ma Diji was the first to step forward. Please forgive me. The second person also left the team, and the one who opposed it did not leave. I just don't agree with this plan, but I don't want to leave the team. I'm not leaving, he explained. Okay, there are a total of 17 people now. We will immediately rush to the middle part of the central area, Xuancheng said. Wait a minute, there's one more thing, it's very important. I have a great deal of confidence that there may be a problem with the jade tiles played by the fairy gate. There may be tracking marks inside, and they can easily find us and hunt us. Therefore, we should collect all the jade tiles, isolate them from the outer world, and prevent them from tracking us. Finally, in the core area, we use these jade tiles as bait to lure them into the formation and kill them, explained Yichen. Xuancheng looked up and down with surprised eyes at this 4-layer alchemy guy covered in a black robe, black veil, and bamboo hat. Is this still a human? It's like a human spirit. Quickly, all the jade plaques were packed in one storage bag. Lei Feng took out a small disc, and his spiritual power urged the disc to disappear into the storage bag. After that, he took out a talisman seal and pasted it on the storage bag. The storage bag was wrapped in a thin light curtain, and no matter how much people used their divine senses to explore, they couldn't find the storage bag. It was just there, but they couldn't sense it. This formation is truly magical. This is the hidden spirit formation, sealed spirit talisman seal. Don't worry, even the golden core cultivators can't find it. Chapter 1. Journey Through Time. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Yichen, a disciple of the outer sect, has completed 5 years of cultivation in the outer sect due to his inferior spiritual roots. At the age of 18, the cultivation level has not yet reached the minimum requirement of the sect's second level of qi refining. The Zhengjian sect, do not support idle people. According to sect rules, I will expel Yichen from the sect today. I must return my disciple token and leave the sect before sunset, and I will no longer be a disciple of my Zhengjian sect. After reading out the expulsion order from the sect, Zhang Sandao, the external deacon, looked at Yichen with pity and sympathy. Taking away Yichen's disciple identity token, he gently patted Yichen's shoulder and comforted him, saying, Yichen, during these 5 years of cultivation in the sect, you have indeed worked harder than other disciples, but unfortunately, your cultivation skills are too poor. It is better to go down the mountain than to have a chance to achieve success. Even in ordinary towns, one can live a prosperous life. Why bother to make things difficult for yourself, to suffer and suffer for nothing here, and to waste a great time? Go down the mountain earlier. After comforting Yichen, Zhang Sandao sighed slightly regretfully and turned to leave the residential area of the outer disciples. This useless firewood, Yichen, has finally been driven down the mountain. I'll just say, useless firewood is useless firewood. Join me in getting started. now it's still one layer of gas refining, I've already refined 4 layers. A sharp-tongued monkey-faced disciple loudly said to another outer disciple. Ah! Yi Chen's martial arts skills are not lacking, but unfortunately his spiritual root aptitude is too poor, so pitiful. Another disciple shook his head and said softly, it would be better if such waste wood were expelled from the sect earlier, as it would save us from damaging the reputation of our Xuancheng sect. That's right, that's right. Since you're a useless person, you need to have self-awareness. Going down the mountain earlier is still the right path. Marrying a beautiful wife and having a few children is actually quite good for a lifetime. Why don't you marry a wife and have children? A disciple from an outside sect joked. I still have hope to become an immortal. I want to build a foundation, I want the golden elixir, I want immortality, and then there will be enough time to find a double cultivator. Ah! Actually, junior brother Yi is the most diligent cultivator among us on a daily basis. Unfortunately, his spiritual root aptitude is too poor. It's a pity. At this moment, Yi Chen had a bewildered expression on his face. He remembered that he seemed to have failed the college entrance examination, only scoring 250 points. It's ironic. A huge irony. A serious illness during the college entrance examination seriously affected my normal performance. I have a severe cold and fever, and on a hot day, I feel cold all over. Wearing a thick piece of clothing makes me feel a bit cold, and my brain seems to be stuck. Even simple addition and subtraction takes half a day, leaving my previously memorized knowledge blank. So, I finished the exam in a daze. As the result can be imagined, the grades must have been ruined. Yesterday, the grades were released, with 250 points. No more, no less, it's a big irony. I can still score above 500 points no matter what I do on a regular basis. Upon waking up, Yi Chen experienced what had just happened. He carefully recalled that his brain was flooded with information he had never remembered before. Shouldn't I have traveled to another world of cultivation, to this 18-year-old youth also known as Yi Chen? Isn't this the fantasy travel plot that I usually enjoy watching? It happened to me today. Yi Chen carefully recalled the memory of this young man named Yi Chen. At the age of 13, he was sent to the Xuancheng sect by his family, and after 5 years of hard cultivation, his progress in cultivation was slow. He was now expelled from the sect. This poor bastard. Just as pitiful as myself. What should we do now? Anyway, I won't be able to return to my original world. Why not strive hard in this world of cultivation, create a world and earth, fulfill this poor guy's obsession, cultivate immortality, achieve immortality, start anew, and live a brand new self. I want to change my destiny against heaven. This life is up to me, not by heaven. Leaving the sect to protect oneself now will lead to becoming a wandering cultivator, helpless and helpless. It will be even more difficult to cultivate in the future. At least monthly, there are cultivation resources issued by the sect within the sect, making cultivation worry-free. Being expelled from the sect now is like a lost dog, and in the future, one can only endure the days of scattered cultivation, constantly on the brink of life and death. I have to rush all day for cultivation resources, and what's even more tragic is my poor spiritual roots. Perhaps even if the lifespan is depleted in a few decades, it will not exceed the 3rd or 4th level of gas refining. Yi Chenong took his head and strode non-stop along the main road. He wanted to stay away from the range of the Xuancheng sect and continue his cultivation elsewhere. Yi Chen didn't believe that a person who had crossed from a highly civilized world would always be stuck in the bottleneck of cultivation, and perhaps one day his cultivation would break through one after another. Even decades later, it is not certain that he will return here again as a foundation-building gold pill cultivator. As long as he has a dream in his heart, nothing can stop his incredibly resilient Dao heart. While cheering himself on, he was calculating how to cultivate in the future. Unconsciously, a few days had passed, and Yi Chen had already traveled more than 1,000 miles. A cultivator was different from an ordinary person. Due to long-term cultivation, his physical strength was much stronger than that of an ordinary person, and his speed and endurance were also much greater than that of an ordinary person. It's not a problem to walk 200 to 300 miles every day. After refining the 4 or 5 layers of qi, some cultivators can use flying spells and swords to fly, and the speed is much faster. A few more days have passed. Yi Chen, who was on his way, suddenly encountered a pouring rain and hurried to a small temple on the roadside to take shelter. At this point, the small temple was already overcrowded, with a total of more than 20 people. These people occupied a favorable position in the temple before Yi Chen, leaving only a small space at the entrance. There was a large puddle of water on the ground there, with occasional raindrops falling in. Yi Chen didn't mind, so he stepped into the temple gate and stood there. After standing still, he carefully examined the people inside. They were roughly divided into 3 groups, with a 14-year-old boy in the middle. Dressed in brocade, the young man carried a small bag on his back, looking dusty. "It's all raining again, and my hair is all wet," looking a bit disheveled. There are 2 groups of people on the right, all dressed in the attire of a certain family's servants and guards. They each have a sign representing their family name on their chest, and upon closer inspection, they are the Li family and the Lu family. There are also 2 groups of people on the left, with obvious clothing. One group is from the Xuanyuan escort agency, and the other group is from the Lord's mansion. Chapter 15. Secret Realm Trial. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Time flies by so fast. The agreed day was approaching soon, and Yi Chen packed up everything he needed in advance. He changed into a wide black robe, black veil, and hat to cover his face. He walked out of the small courtyard and headed towards the agreed entrance of the East City. Before long, he arrived at the agreed location. Yi Chen saw that more than 10 people had arrived early and were gathering in a few piles to chat. Yi Chen scanned everyone, but did not see the leader's beard, Zhou Zhentian. He then walked up to a cultivator in the early stage of the 4th level of qi refining and arched his hand, asking, "Have you met this Taoist friend? May I ask if it's the 6th team heading to the secret realm of the immortal spirit sect? When will Zhou Zhentian be able to arrive?" The person glanced at Yi Chen and replied, "It's the 6th team. Lao Zhou will arrive soon. Don't worry, we can wait with peace of mind. I, Lei Fang, don't know what to call this Taoist friend who looks unfamiliar. I have only been in Xuancheng for 1 year, and I have been practicing in seclusion for a long time. I rarely walk around with you and have not been able to meet you all. Please forgive me. Oh, I turned out to be a monk wandering around the world. He dares to run around and is not afraid of being killed or robbed of treasures even if he is only on the 4th level of qi refining." A skinny man with a sly expression at the beginning of the 5th level of qi refining beside Lei Fang said, "Xiao San Xiu, where do you come from? Is there another person who came to kill me without any reason?" "This Taoist is too worried, thank you for your concern," Yi Chen replied without hesitation when he saw the other person picking a problem. "You. Don't be too arrogant, be careful not to be ambushed and die somehow," the person exclaimed at the sight of Yi Chen's words. "Don't think that if you have a higher cultivation level, you will bully your face. There are so many Tianjiao disciples in the immortal spirit sect who can deal with you. When you enter the secret realm, don't be scared by the disciples of the sect and wet your pants. We are all scattered cultivators, on the same boat, don't do anything wrong. I look down on this kind of person the most," Yi Chen added reluctantly. The skinny guy was so angry that he pointed his finger at Yi Chen and said, "You're amazing. Let's see who can't get out of the secret realm when we see you. You. Let's see. Ma Dizzy, don't cause trouble for nothing. At least Yi Daoyu and we are in the same team. Don't hurt our harmony." Yi Daoyu laughed at this Ma Daoyu, who has such a bad temper and likes to bully others. In fact, he is the most cowardly. don't have the same opinion as him. Lei Fang saw that the atmosphere was not right and quickly made up the situation to compensate Yi Chen. Sorry to have kept you waiting for so long. I apologize for Zhou's late arrival and kindly ask for your understanding. I saw Zhou Zhintian's sword fall from the air, followed by 3 people. Dear fellow Taoists, we are going to the secret realm of the immortal spirit sect for a trial. Although there are many opportunities, there are also many crises. Not to mention, the elite disciples of the immortal spirit sect are our biggest enemies. If we encounter them in the secret realm, they will treat us as prey and kill them. With our scattered cultivation and strength, how can we fight against them? We need to discuss together and have a comprehensive strategy to get along. Don't foolishly go to the secret realm to give people a head. I also ask all Taoists to express their opinions so that we can gain something and be safe. Come back. Zhou Zhintian's words caused everyone else to fall into a brief silence. In fact, everyone thought of this. As a casual cultivator, besides practicing every day, I am also wary of other cultivators attacking me. I have been in a high self-protection awareness for a long time. Only in this way can I live, otherwise I don't know how to die. I think we should unite with the outside world, take the overall interests of our team as the starting point, and work together to overcome the enemy and win. We are not afraid of their high cultivation, as long as we are united. Fighting with them does not necessarily mean we will lose. Lei Fang was the first to speak, and Zhou Zhintian nodded without saying anything. I think we should choose a few people with the best cultivation to be responsible for combat techniques, while those with lower cultivation should be responsible for picking spiritual herbs, hunting monsters, and performing their respective duties. They should fully utilize their strengths and make reasonable arrangements, which would be better, said a mid-level cultivator in the 5th level of qi refining. Li Taidao is absolutely right, I agree, Zhou Zhintian said. Let's first get to know each other better, each highlighting their strengths, and finally coordinating arrangements, added another cultivator. Okay, what Taoist Lu Qingyun said makes sense. Let's get to know each other first. Let's start with me, Zhou Zhintian. In the middle stage of qi refining, I am skilled in combat techniques. I can fight against an undefeated cultivator in the end stage of qi refining, and at the same time, I can fight against 2 cultivators in the middle stage of qi refining. I can kill one seriously injured cultivator and the next one. I, Li Tai, at the end of the 5th level of qi refining, am skilled in combat and can fly with swords. My name is Lu Qingyun. In the early stage of the 5th layer, I am good at arranging formations and fighting. The formation I set up can trap 5 cultivators in the late stage of the 5th layer for 2 hours. With our combat power, we should be able to kill the 5 cultivators in the formation for 2 hours, right? No problem. I, Wu Mengda, in the early stage of the 4th layer of qi refining, am good at picking spiritual medicines and herbs, and hunting monsters. There are a total of 19 people, including 13 in the 5th layer of the qi refining period and 6 in the 4th layer of the qi refining period. The last person Yi Chen introduced himself was me, Yi Chen. In the middle of the 4th layer of qi refining, I am good at picking elixirs and can also fight. How much combat power can you have as a mid-level cultivator in the 4th level of qi refining? You think so, humph, said the Ma Dizzy disdainfully. Zhou Zhintian glared fiercely at Ma Dizzy, who quickly shut up. Zhou Zhintian finally divided these 19 people into 3 groups based on their cultivation level, with 6 people in each group. There were 4 qi refining 5 layers and 2 qi refining 4 layers, with a good combination of height and height. The qi refining 5 layer was mainly responsible for combat and protecting the safety of the team. Zhou Zhintian was responsible for coordinating the 3 groups as the overall commander, while the qi refining 4 layer was responsible for logistic services such as picking spiritual herbs and hunting monsters. The cultivator with the highest cultivation level in each group serves as the group leader responsible for unified group action, using flying swords to carry other members who do not know how to fly with swords. Everything was arranged properly, and everyone rose up with swords and flew towards the direction of the secret realm. Yi Chen happened to be in the same group as Lei Fang, riding on the flying sword of team leader Li Tai. It was a coincidence that Ma Dizzy was also in the same group as them. Chapter 61. Wanyao Mountain Range. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Let's go straight to the 10,000 Demons Mountain Range to experience. It's probably going to be lively here for a while now. Yi Chen smiled and said to everyone, "Why is it so lively here?" Tang Yin scratched his head and asked. "This is not easy. We have eliminated so many foundation building cultivators, and the strength of the Yi family has greatly decreased. Other sects are eyeing us, enough for them to drink a pot," explained Wan Duo. "Not bad, there is also the royal family. Losing the 5 foundation protectors has resulted in a sharp decline in strength and a precarious position. Other forces will follow suit. A bloody storm is essential. Many people are going to die again," Qin Yueyao also sighed. "If you want to blame them, blame the Yi family and the royal family. They think they are arrogant and use their power to deceive others. They are used to acting recklessly. Who let them encounter our 4 evil spirits this time? They are unlucky. If they come to provoke me again next time, I will destroy their entire family and make them disappear completely." Yi Chen said with a resolute expression on his face. "It's time to intimidate these people. I'm not easy to provoke the 4 evil spirits of Shura." High in the air, below, white clouds quickly receded, and on the flying boat, Yi Chen and the 4 of them enjoyed the beautiful scenery while discussing their next plans. From the map, it can be seen that the 10,000 Demons Mountain Range is not simple. The peripheral areas have thin spiritual energy and are very desolate. In addition to a few valuable spiritual herbs and first and second level demon beasts near a few small spiritual veins, there is a medium-sized spiritual spring in the Death Valley. However, there are 3rd and 4th level demon beasts and a 5th level peak demon king guarding it, and below the Golden Core, one cannot enter the Death Valley. It is said that there is a spiritual spring pool where a unique water ice orchid grows, which is very beneficial for cultivators during the foundation building period. We can go and try our luck. The central region of the Wanyao mountain range is vast, and there are several dangerous places where monsters roam, such as Eagle Mouth Cliff, Ghost Cry Creek, Poison Valley, Monster Crocodile Swamp, Red Dragon Peak, Misty Forest, Immortal Cave, Gengjin Waterfall, Doomsday Grassland. It is said that there are some mysterious powers and creatures appearing in these places, as well as 5th and 6th level monsters. Even the foundation building cultivators dare not approach here. There are several 100-year-old spiritual medicines that have been used to refine the golden elixir, all of which are the main medicines. If you want to collect and refine all the spiritual medicines that can break through to the golden elixir cultivators, you will need them. It's necessary to venture into these places, Yi Chen leisurely introduced to the few people as he looked at the map. We have limited strength this time, so we won't go to those 2 dangerous places. This time, we will experience it on the outskirts of the 10,000 Demons Mountain Range. When we are all in the later stage of building the foundation, we will venture into the central and core areas. The flying boat flew leisurely in the high altitude, and after a few days, it finally landed on an open space outside the 10,000 Demons Mountain Range. A few people jumped off the flying boat and observed the surroundings. Yi Chen put the flying boat into a storage bag and pointed in a direction, saying, "Our destination is in the northeast direction, and we will be there for another 400 to 500 miles. Moving forward in the mountains and forests, it is estimated to take 5 days. There are no high-level monsters in this area, at most 1st and 2nd level monsters. Only 3rd and 4th level monsters can be found in the Death Valley. Our gathering target is the mouth of the Death Valley, where we can rest and then enter the Death Valley 1 or 20 miles away to adventure and search for water ice orchids. Regardless of whether we find them or not, quickly return. No one knows where the 5th level monster is really. We don't need to adventure and fight it hard. Let's split up and gather at the mouth of the Death Valley now. Chapter 11. Crazy Cultivation 1. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The next afternoon, Xuancheng arrived at the market, wearing a black robe and hat to cover his face. This kind of attire was very common in the market, and the cultivators didn't want to cause trouble. Soon, Xuancheng sold all the demon beasts he had hunted in a shop that purchased demon animal materials, and obtained more than 200 spirit stones. He didn't sell any of the spirit medicines, so he had to learn alchemy in the future. It's hard to say that he needed to buy many more spiritual medicines for alchemy. Xuancheng also purchased the last type of body refining medicine 5 times from 2 pharmacies. He divided the recipe into 2 parts, so that others wouldn't know what this recipe was for. In total, he could do it. 5 extractions. After completing these tasks, Xuancheng came to a tea house and asked for a pot of tea. He sat leisurely by the window, sipping the tea. A few hours later, he heard the information he wanted from other cultivators. Have you heard that the poison demon has killed again? Tell me quickly, who did you kill? Has the poison demon died? A cultivator urgently asked. I just heard. The cultivator picked up his teacup and took a light sip of the tea, speaking calmly. Just heard that a few days ago, 5 late-stage cultivators from the fairy spirit sect set traps to ambush the poison old demon in one fell swoop. Unexpectedly, they only seriously injured the old demon. 2 disciples of the fairy spirit sect died, and the other 3 went missing. It is estimated that they were killed by the poison old demon while chasing after him. The fairy spirit sect also issued 2 reward orders. Those who find 3 disciples will be rewarded with 300 spirit stones regardless of whether they are alive or dead. Those who kill the poison old demon will be rewarded with 3,000 spirit stones, and those who learn the specific location of the poison old demon will be rewarded with 500 spirit stones. I heard that the number of cultivators who died under the poison old demon has already exceeded 200. It's like killing a horse, it's unforgivable. Has that poison demon really died? Didn't he say he was seriously injured? Will poison old demon be killed by others? How could it be? Every time the poison old demon can escape death, he will become even more fierce in hunting other cultivators when he comes out again. He is simply a killer maniac. Does anyone dare to team up and hunt heavily injured poison demons? Let's just forget it. With just our cultivation, it's not enough to fill the teeth of the poison old demon. Even the great sect can't do anything about it. What can we do? Have you heard that in 6 months, the 6 secret realms of the immortal spirit gate will be opened? In the past, the secret realms were not open to the outside world, but only to internal disciples of the sect. I don't know why the immortal spirit gate is open to all casual cultivators this time. There won't be any requirements, right? We can't just let loose cultivators in vain, can we? Of course, this time the opening of the secret realm requires that the scattered cultivation level entered cannot exceed the 6th level of the qi refining period. Once it exceeds the 6th level of the qi refining period, the secret realm array will be activated, either to kill or to teleport out, and each person needs to pay 100 spirit stones. As expected, it's a bit expensive. What good things are there in the secret realm that are worth both digging out spiritual stones and risking one's life to enter? Of course it's worth the adventure. In the secret realm, there are not only various spiritual herbs and medicines that have been around for over 100 years, but also many monsters. Most importantly, there are mysterious ancient cultivators practicing in the cave. In addition to spiritual stones and treasures, there are also martial arts secret scriptures passed down in the cave. As long as you obtain an advanced martial art, building a foundation for gold pills may be easy, and there are also pills that can break through the realm. It is said that there is a kind of pill that can improve cultivation, and one pill can enhance one level of cultivation. Is there such a divine pill? Is it really fake? If it's true, it's worth a try. Is there anyone who wants to go? Who would like to form a team with me? Count me in, Wang He is going to break through this secret realm. I'll go too. And me too. The first team still needs 3 people, hurry up and sign up. The second team, if you want to go, come and sign up with me. Yi Chen also walked over and registered for the 6th team. The leader of this team was a burly man with a beard and a face on the 5th floor of Qi refining, named Xuancheng. He was very prestigious in the scattered cultivation, and his team had nearly 20 people. The registration information provided by Yi Chen was Scattered Cultivation, Yi Chen, in the middle of the 2nd floor of Qi refining. Everyone agreed on a time and the location was at the east gate of Xuancheng. Chapter 6. Extracts. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Leaving Xuancheng City, Yi Chen changed into a spacious black robe and hat in a secluded place, and transformed into a young man of 17 or 18 years old. He took out all the unused items from his storage bag and wrapped them in a piece of cloth, carrying them on his back. Soon, he stopped in front of an ordinary martial arts shop in Xuancheng and observed before walking in. Upon arriving at the counter, the waiter approached and asked, "What weapons do you need, sir? I wonder if you have purchased weapons?" Yi Chen asked. "Yes, of course I do. What weapons do you want to sell, sir?" Yi Chen placed the big bundle on the counter, opened it, and took out nearly 20 various swords and weapons, as well as some other things. At this moment, the shopkeeper also walked over and checked the calculations. A total of 300 taels of silver. "Would you be satisfied, sir?" Yi Chen didn't care and accepted the money with satisfaction. The shopkeeper couldn't close his mouth with joy and said, "What else do you need, sir?" "I want to settle down in the city and buy a small courtyard, but I just want it to be quiet and not noisy. It's also acceptable to be a bit remote. Can the shopkeeper recommend 1 or 2? Yi Chen took the shopkeeper's words and asked. "This is not difficult, please wait a moment, let me ask." The shopkeeper brought Yi Chen to the table and sat down. He ordered his staff to serve tea and walked into the backyard. Soon, he led a staff member out. "Dear guest, please follow this guy to Xuanchengfang in Dongcheng. There is a secluded courtyard for sale there, which is a distant relative of mine. The total price is 100 taels of silver. You can go and take a look first. If you are satisfied, we can complete the gold and silver house deed procedures." An hour later, Yi Chen handed the shopkeeper 100 taels of silver and placed the house deed and agreement in the storage bag. This small courtyard is located in a secluded corner, surrounded by only 5 or 6 households. The courtyard is not large, and there are 2 courtyards in front and back. Yi Chen cleaned it up a bit before settling in. Practitioners don't need too much trouble, most of the time they are in seclusion. In the past, Yi Chen was famous for his hard cultivation in the sect, but unfortunately his spiritual root aptitude was too poor, and he couldn't improve his cultivation inch by inch without the guidance of a master. After 3 years of hard cultivation, he didn't break through the 2nd level of Qi refining. Now Yi Chen wants to try another way to get through, which is to refine his body. The spiritual medicines he purchased in the local market before were all used for refining his body. Yi Chen sat cross-legged on the bed, took out the jade slip that was used to burn the 5 elements body refining technique, pressed tightly against his forehead, and his spiritual consciousness quickly scanned. 4 or 5,000 words immediately entered Yi Chen's mind. This body refining technique was suitable for Yi Chen, a mixed spiritual root of the 5 elements. After extracting the spiritual medicine, too many impurities were eliminated from the body, and the meridians would become smoother than before. Practicing may continue to improve, but one thing is that the process of extracting the spiritual medicine is very painful, and most people cannot tolerate the pain of this continuous cycle. Therefore, every body cultivator is a true man with extremely strong willpower. Yi Chen repeatedly studied this cultivation technique in his mind until he became familiar with it. He opened his eyes and felt an excitement and joy in his heart, almost shedding tears. He was not afraid of pain, not afraid of anything, afraid of not advancing his cultivation, afraid of wasting time, and remained in the early stage of qi refining until his death. Everything was ready, and Yi Chen boiled the purchased spiritual medicines and some of the spiritual medicines in his storage bag before pouring them into the steaming hot water bath. He also took off his clothes and jumped in, slowly disappearing over time. The water in the bath was as black as ink, and a strong medicinal fragrance filled the entire room. Yi Chen operated his own meridians according to the method in the 5 elements refining technique. Gradually, the mixed medicinal powers penetrated through every pore of Yi Chen's body, melted into the meridians, and traveled throughout his body. The medicinal powers reached every part of his limbs and bones. At that moment, a magical scene occurred. Those medicinal powers suddenly transformed into another kind of spiritual power, rushing back and forth through Yi Chen's limbs and bones. The narrow and blocked channels in the original meridians were gradually opened up, and the originally small channels were forcefully torn and squeezed by the manic spiritual power, gradually becoming wide and unobstructed. However, the pain at this moment was too heavy, with every part of his body painful and heart-wrenching. It persisted, and Yi Chen could no longer bear it. He screamed, roared, trembled, twitched. In the end, Yi Chen fainted. I don't know how long it took, but Yi Chen slowly opened his eyes and felt sore all over. He had no strength left. He looked at the bathtub in front of him and couldn't believe it. The previously pitch-black potion had turned pale black, and his skin was wrapped in a thick layer of sticky black impurities. These impurities were excreted from Yi Chen's body, emitting a strange and unpleasant odor. It was these impurities that blocked Yi Chen's cultivation. Now that I have finally been expelled from the body, does it mean that I can improve my cultivation in the future? Like others. Yi Chen couldn't believe it and shed tears of joy. Finally, he could improve his cultivation. What does the pain I suffered before count? Nothing at all. As long as his cultivation can improve, he is not afraid of any difficulties, and can endure even the greatest pain. Just like the pain before, Yi Chen can go through it 100 times and 1,000 times again. Not afraid of anything. If you don't agree, do it. Yi Chen quickly washed the dirt off his body and carefully washed it again with a bucket of clean water. At this time, the skin is much smoother and more delicate than before. Yi Chen sat cross-legged on the bed, practicing his martial arts. Suddenly, he felt a big difference from before. Spiritual power flowed smoothly through the meridians in his body, feeling incredibly comfortable. He had never felt this before, and when a big week came to an end, the time was less than half of what it used to be. This means that his physical fitness is much better now than before. I have a vague feeling that I need to break through the pinnacle of my cultivation in refining qi. Yi Chen was overjoyed in his heart and quickly took out 2 spirit stones, each holding one with both hands. The spiritual power quickly absorbed the pure spiritual power from the spirit stones. 1 hour later, Yi Chen opened his hands and 2 balls of white powder slipped from his palms. The spiritual power in the spirit stone had been completely absorbed by him. Previously, it might take him a few days to fully refine and absorb the 2 spirit stones, but now it only takes an hour. It's really different. Yi Chen took out 2 spirit stones again to continue practicing. 3 days later, Yi Chen finally broke through to the 2nd level of qi refining, but he didn't stop and continued to work hard to cultivate. The 4th day, Yi Chen finally stopped practicing. His cultivation remained in the unbelievable middle stage of the 2nd layer of qi refining. At this moment, Yi Chen once again shed tears of excitement. He is so happy. Perhaps this is the complete outburst of the kind of emotions that have been suppressed for a long time. In the past 4 years, I have finally improved my cultivation without making any progress. I see hope again. Xuancheng sect, I will still go back, but I will wait for the day when everyone looks up to me. Yi Chen silently made a vow in his heart. A strong and tenacious fighting spirit erupted completely, for the sake of one's own efforts, persistence, and even more for so many grievances, not forgetting one's original intention, asking with one heart, the Tao heart is eternal. Chapter 66. Exploring the Valley of the Dead. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 3 days later, the Death Valley of the 10,000 Demons Mountain Range, White Demon Ape Cave. Yi Chen sat comfortably at a large stone table, enjoying the spiritual tea brewed with Lingquan water. Qin Yueyao and the three of them gradually left the pass, and their cultivation had stabilized. This time, the three of them in the closed gate of Death Valley had made great progress in cultivation, and they were extremely happy. Tang Yin, Qin Yu, and Yao all remained stable at the beginning of the 7th floor foundation construction and the end of the 6th floor foundation construction. 3 people perform a cleansing technique, keeping their entire body clean and tidy. 4 people sat around the spacious hall newly opened by Yi Chen, with tables, chairs, and benches made of spiritual stone ore. This pure spiritual stone ore can be directly used as spiritual stone outside. A few people sat on the tables and chairs made of spiritual stone, holding tea cups made of spiritual stone, and drinking spiritual tea brewed with spiritual spring water. At this moment, all 4 of them felt extremely comfortable. After half a year of seclusion, everyone has made progress in cultivation. Next, we will explore the inner valley of the Dead Man's Valley, which must have what we want. Even if we encounter the legendary level 6 monster, we are not afraid, and it should not be a problem to escape safely. Our main purpose in going to the inner valley is to search for water ice orchids. There were 3 plants in the Lingquan pool outside, and I used 2 for cultivation. Currently, only 1 plant is left as a seed in the Lingquan pool, which will become our cultivation and seclusion place in the future. We need to take good care of it. If we can transplant some water ice orchids to the Lingquan pool, it would be great. Now we set off immediately to explore the inner valley. The 4 of them left the cave without flying with swords, only searching and advancing along the valley. When they encountered ordinary spiritual herbs, they did not go to pick them. This valley will be used as a trial place for Xianling sect disciples in the future. The Tang Yin family can also send some disciples to participate and leave some resources for them. Only when encountering rare, precious, or high-aged elixirs will Yi Chen pick them and leave a portion of the roots and stems to continue growing. A few days later, at the end of the inner valley lies a vast expanse of flat fertile soil with 3 cliffs and steep cliffs. Various spiritual medicines grow abundantly here, making it a natural spiritual medicine garden. At a glance, the spiritual spring flows into a 2 or 3 acre-sized spiritual spring pool, in which there are nearly 100 water ice orchids. Yi Chen picked 20 water ice orchids, 5 per person. This can serve as a private spiritual medicine garden, where all the spiritual medicines needed for alchemy can be cultivated in the future. This is also an important foundation for one's own development. Yi Chen took out a defensive formation and set up a defensive formation flag. This formation level was not high and could only defend against some wild beasts and monsters. This area was completely protected. Why haven't you seen any other monsters and the legendary level 6 demon? Qin Yueyao asked in confusion. Will it hide in the dark and prepare to ambush us? Said one duo with suspicion. Be careful, everyone, take precautions. Tang Yin had already held the flying sword in his hand. It's okay for now. I've scanned the surroundings and there must be a big demon here. Otherwise, how could there be no demon beast in this valley? Now that the white demon ape is dead, this big demon must have seen the mushroom cloud that exploded that day and hid it. However, this is also good, it saves a lot of trouble. If we come here again in the future, we must be more careful. You guys rest here, I'll go up and take a look. After Yi Chen finished speaking with his sword, he stood up and flew straight up the cliff. The cliff was several thousand feet high, reaching over 500 feet. Yi Chen's divine sense discovered a huge mountain entrance measuring 1 foot square on the steep and dangerous cliff. Yi Chen cautiously descended from the cave entrance, which was very deep and could not be detected by divine sense. Obviously, there was a formation or something called divine sense detection here. Yi Chen took protective measures and walked along the cave several tens of zhang deep, then turned a bay to the right and entered a very wide area. The length, width, and height were all in the tens of zhang range, with a high platform at the bottom. There was a huge skeleton on top of the platform, and Yi Chen came closer to carefully observe. It turned out to be the skeleton of a white-headed eagle. Yi Chen picked up a fist-sized fire-red demon pill from the skeleton, which was clearly a level 6 demon pill. This skeleton is actually the legendary level 6 demon. It turned out that it had already fallen. Upon closer inspection of its skeleton, it turned out that the half-cut sword was still left on its chest. This monster must have died from being stabbed in the chest with a sword while fighting with someone. So who seriously injured the bald eagle? In the skeleton, Yi Chen discovered a complete human right arm bone, with a green ring on one finger bone. Yi Chen picked up the finger bone, took off the ring, and observed carefully. That emerald green ring emits a faint spiritual power. It is a magic weapon used by cultivators. Isn't it the legendary space storage ring? Yi Chen's heart is beating uncontrollably. A trace of spiritual power infused into the ring, and with a sweep of divine consciousness, it was indeed a receiving ring. The space inside is the size of dozens of houses. There is a large pile of spiritual stones like a small mountain inside the Neji, estimated to be as many as 2 million. There are also 3 small piles of different spiritual stones next to it. One pile has more than 20,000, one pile has more than 100, and the minimum pile is only 5. Yi Chen took out 1 spirit stone each, carefully compared them, and finally suddenly woke up. These are not the legendary medium-grade spirit stones, top-grade spirit stones, and top-grade spirit stones. The conversion between different levels of spirit stones is 100 times. 1 top-grade spirit stone is equivalent to 100 top-grade spirit stones, and 1 million middle-grade spirit stones are equivalent to 10,000 low-grade spirit stones. Roughly speaking, these spirit stones have a total of over 10 million pieces. So much. Who would have so many spirit stones? In addition to the golden core ancestor, there are also the Xuancheng old monster. That is to say, this level 6 white-headed eagle was seriously injured while fighting against the golden core old monster, and the white-headed eagle fell from the ground. The human cultivator was also seriously injured, and it is unknown whether he was alive or dead. Yi Chen inferred so. In addition to the spirit stone, there are several bottles of elixirs. Open the bottle cap and pour out the elixir. It turns out to be the elixir used by the golden core cultivators for daily cultivation, including the Jiyuan pill, the advanced healing pill, the spring revival pill, and 3 detoxification pills. In the corner, Yi Chen found several yellowed books and several animal skin scrolls. Open the front of the first book with a few big characters on the longevity technique. Yi Chen was greatly surprised. Isn't this the same name as the cultivation method that Poison Old Demon gave himself back then? It's all called the longevity technique, but this technique can only be practiced until the foundation is perfect. I have been practicing this technique all along, and now a breakthrough is imminent. There is a lack of the next step of cultivation, so it's so easy to obtain. This is really dozing off. Someone is giving pillows. Yi Chen couldn't wait to open the book and read it. In no time, he finished reading it. It turned out that this was a cultivation technique that could be practiced from the golden elixir period until the middle stage of the Yuan infant. It was seamlessly connected with the Poison Old Demon technique. The Poison Old Demon technique was the first part, and this one was the second part. I wonder if I can get it in the second part. Mind him. The most urgent problem has been solved, and there is still a considerable distance to go before the next chapter is truly needed. I don't know if I can reach that step. At present, condensing the golden elixir is still a big problem, don't think so far. When the ship reaches the bridgehead, it will naturally straighten out. Yi Chen comforted himself in his heart. The second book is a complete collection of formation techniques, which is about formation techniques. The third book is a sword manual called 36 Swords for Destruction of Heaven and Earth, which is similar to the 36 Swords of the Splitting Heaven sword technique that I previously learned in the Xuancheng sect. It can also help me further improve my swordsmanship. Opening those animal skin rolls, there are several ancient elixirs, including Jijin Pill, Jiyuan Pill, Advanced Extraction Pill, Yanshou Yanyan Pill, and 4 types of elixirs. These elixirs are all complete. In fact, most general prescriptions are not complete. Generally, complete prescriptions include 2 parts. The first part is the variety, dosage, age requirements, and specific medicinal parts of the spiritual medicine Ling Chao used. This is a common prescription. The second part is about the specific and detailed requirements for refining, the specific operations and techniques during the refining process, the order of administration, precautions, and so on. Only the first part may not be able to refine pills. It requires countless experiments, wastes a lot of time, elixirs, and energy. So alchemy is a very difficult and technically demanding job, and it's not something that ordinary people can do easily. That's why alchemists are so rare. With a complete prescription, refining pills becomes much easier and easier to get started with. The success rate can be rapidly increased. This is the importance of inheriting the Dan Dao. Often, many inheritances are broken due to one's death. In addition to these, there are only 3 weapons and equipment, a 1-foot-long small sword, a mysterious turtle shell shield, and a 2-inch-long spirit boat. This spirit boat is much more advanced than the flying boat that Yi Chen is currently using, which belongs to the spirit treasure level. Yi Chen knew that any spiritual treasure of this level would require blood to recognize its owner, and after a period of sacrifice and refinement, it could only be controlled and used with divine sense. Yi Chen quickly bit through his fingers and dropped 3 drops of essence and blood onto the 3 magic treasures. Before long, 3 faint spiritual lights flashed by. Yi Chen imprinted the 3 imprints on each of the 3 spiritual treasures. Gradually, Yi Chen clearly felt the spiritual imprint he had imprinted on the spiritual treasures, and his mind moved. The 3 spiritual treasures soared into the air, and the small sword quickly became the size of a normal sword. Surrounded by Ye's back, the turtle shield protected Yi Chen in all directions. The spiritual boat instantly grew to the size of 2 zhang, making it easy for more than 10 people to sit down. Yi Chen couldn't help but be overjoyed and couldn't put it down. He looked left and right and thought that either one was good. He really liked it. I have equipment, techniques, and elixirs. Yi Chen suddenly felt very happy and couldn't help but think of the sentence that actor Fan Wei once said on TV. What is happiness? When I was hungry, I happened to have steamed buns to eat, and I felt very happy. I want to go to a thatched cottage, but there happens to be an empty pit, which is happiness. Chapter 4. Xuancheng. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Time flies by so fast, a few months have passed in the blink of an eye. In front of the gate of Xuancheng City in the great city of Zhao, an 18-year-old young man stood in front of the city, covered in dust and dust. His eyes were sharp, firm and cold, and his somewhat haggard face showed a hint of handsome. A small package was carried behind him, and only a small storage bag on his waist showed his identity as a cultivator. Of course, ordinary people cannot see these things. That storage bag is similar to a mortal's money bag, and powerful young masters and ladies hang it around their waist, just to hold a small amount of gold and silver money. A cultivator can easily identify which type of magic storage bag to use, as all magic tools emit weak spiritual power fluctuations. After a long journey of tens of thousands of miles, Xuancheng finally left the territory of the Xuancheng sect and arrived at the influence range of another major cultivation sect, the Xianling sect. The Xianling sect governs a region of tens of thousands of miles, including 3 or 4 countries of different sizes. This state of Zhao is one of the medium-sized countries, with 28 cities under its jurisdiction. Xuancheng has a population of over 7 million, which can be considered a major city of Zhao. Xuancheng is located in a special location, at the junction of several large and small immortal cultivation sects, with convenient transportation, developed economy and trade, and a large population. In addition to most ordinary people, there are also a small number of immortals in the city. Immortals are the term used by ordinary people to refer to cultivators. If you encounter them in person, you should respectfully call them immortal master or fairy. In the eyes of mortals, immortals are even more noble than emperors and nobles, not only because immortals can fly to heaven and escape from the earth, but more importantly, immortals have a long lifespan. Compared to the lifespan of ordinary mortals around 50 years old, immortals often have a lifespan of hundreds or even thousands of years, which is truly enviable. Unfortunately, not everyone can cultivate immortals. In addition to having spiritual roots, they also need to have opportunities and luck. Being able to become an immortal is a great event. In Xuancheng, a special area has been designated that no mortal can enter. This area is called the Immortal Fairy Market, which contains various items used by cultivators, such as magic tools, spiritual pills, elixirs, and herbs, various secret techniques for cultivating immortals, talismans, puppets, spirit beasts, demon pets, birds and insects, natural materials and treasures, formations. The fairy market is the most frequently visited place where all scattered cultivators cannot do without. It can be said that without the fairy market, there would be no scattered cultivators. Xuancheng inquired at the city gate and spent a piece of broken silver to buy a map of Xuancheng. Referring to the map, he quickly arrived at the entrance of Fengshe. The entrance of Fengshe is a huge light energy gate, with 4 ancient seal scripts of Xuanchengfang engraved on a stone tablet. Only by releasing a trace of spiritual power can one pass through that seemingly transparent light curtain. Xuancheng happened to need to sell the things he didn't need on his body and buy some things he needed. At the right time, this market appeared. Xuancheng took out a large black robe and put it on, and then put on a black veil hat to completely cover his face, restrain his spiritual energy, and slowly step into the light gate. As soon as I entered the light gate, the scenery in front of me changed greatly. A very large square appeared in front of me. Many cultivators were setting up stalls on the square, with a variety of things on the stalls. In front of the stalls, there was also a constant stream of cultivators watching and buying. Around the square were some shops, restaurants, tea houses, and hotels, with people coming and going everywhere. It was not bustling. Xuancheng opened his zero-eye technique to check, and most of them were cultivators in the early stage of qi refining. There were not many cultivators above 4 or 5 levels of qi refining, and there were very few cultivators building foundations. There was not a single golden core cultivator seen. It seems that this market is mainly aimed at low-level cultivators like Xuancheng. I couldn't help but feel great joy in my heart. He didn't rush to take action either. First, he looked at each stall on the square one by one. After a few hours, Xuancheng almost looked at all the stalls on the square, and then he visited the shops selling various cultivation resources one after another. Soon, all the shops were fully understood. After inquiring, the stalls here were free to buy and sell, but they could not be deceived or deceived. Once discovered by the inspection team, the consequences were severe, with some confiscating all their belongings and going to the mine for 5 years. In severe cases, they could be killed on the spot. Therefore, no one dared to act recklessly in the neighborhood. Xuanchengfang city has a good reputation in the outside world. Yi Chen was not in a hurry and came to a tea house to order a pot of spiritual tea. While savoring it carefully, he also listened to the conversations of other cultivators. 1 hour later, Yi Chen asked for a regular room at a Juxian inn, slept soundly, and waited until the next morning to come back to the local market to buy. Chapter 49. Return to Xuancheng. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Zhaogua Xuancheng, Xianling sect's residence. In the conference hall, the sect leader was discussing important matters with several elders and protectors. Recently, Zhou Zhintian from the Zhou family and Li Tai from the Li family have both made great progress in their cultivation, and these two outstanding disciples have been favored by the elder Yi Dancher from the guest court. Their future prospects are promising, and it is estimated that they will soon surpass everyone sitting here and become the highest cultivators of the Xianling sect. In the future, the position of the sect leader and deputy sect leader will undoubtedly be theirs. What I mean is that we should make a secret order for the sect now, and whoever builds the foundation first will become the young sect leader of the Xianling sect. How about that, said the sect leader leisurely. I have no objection, I also agree. Before long, this one was settled. Xuanchengfang City, in the courtyard of a shop called Yi Ji Dan Fang, the elderly and young are busy with their work. In the alchemy room, 8 young disciples are focused on alchemy, and a wooden frame next to it is filled with bottles of refined pills. Outside Xuancheng, the 4 escape lights quickly approached from the distant horizon. In just a few breaths, 4 figures stepped on flying swords and slowly fell from the sky to the gate of Xuancheng City. 4 handsome young men and women stood in front of the city gate, with the first one dressed in a blue and white alchemy robe, exuding an inexplicable sense of nobility. The remaining 3 men were handsome and graceful, while the other 3 women looked like immortals. Upon closer inspection, it turned out to be Yi Dancher. Immediately, someone passed on the message to Xianling sect leader. Yi Chen led the 3 of them slowly into the city. Soon, several elders of Xianling sect approached, and their luggage said, "Welcome the guest elder Yi Dancher back. The sect leader is in the meeting hall. Waiting. We have something important to discuss." Leading the way ahead, Yi Chen didn't hesitate and followed a few people towards the city center. In the meeting hall of Xianling sect, Yi Chenduan sat in his head position, holding a teacup and sipping tea. Beside him were Qin Yueyao and the elders and protectors of Xianling sect sitting one by one. "Master Yi Dan, although you are the guest elder of our Xianling sect, no one treats you as an outsider. Now that you have not only become a 4th-grade alchemist in the Dan League, but also have reached the 3rd level of foundation building, making you the first foundation building cultivator in our sect with the best cultivation. From then on, our Xianling sect has also entered a large sect. In terms of ranking, you can rank in the top 5 of Zhao Kingdom. In a few years, when you achieve the golden elixir, our Xianling sect can enter the top 3. It is a safe major sect, and we intend to make you the position of our Xianling sect supreme elder." Master Zhou has a respectful expression on his face as he focuses solely on cultivation, without having to deal with all the miscellaneous matters of the sect. Every month, a sufficient amount of spiritual stones and elixirs are presented for the use of the supreme elder's cultivation. I wonder what your elderly family wants. Fearing that this master might not be happy, he suddenly came up with a plan to tie this alchemist master to the broken carriage of the Xianling sect. If Yi Chen agrees to become this so-called supreme elder, there will be many benefits. Firstly, the sect's cultivation level should be raised to 3 levels of foundation building, and the upward trend is fierce. Secondly, it can intimidate the small sects around it that are eyeing a foundation building 3-layer cultivator and a 4-star alchemist from the Dan League are not something that ordinary sects dare to underestimate, but rather the golden core cultivator must be respectful and polite in front of the 4-star alchemist. Thirdly, a great cultivator with 3 layers of foundation will definitely help those disciples who he likes in the sect, such as Zhou Zhintian and Li Tai, who were valued and helped by Yi Chen to achieve great progress. These disciples will benefit more in the future, and many disciples who Ye's eaten likes will emerge in the sect. These people will be the foundation of the sect in the future. Fourthly, as a great alchemist, will the sect still worry about elixirs in the future? Will you still worry about alchemists? A few years later, the 8 disciples who followed Yi Chen to learn alchemy became the backbone of the sect. This is a precious resource that other sects can covet, and talent is the most important. Fifthly, Yi Chen's nepotism is also a huge wealth. For example, the 3 young people who came together have all achieved 3 levels of cultivation in building foundations, which is also an intangible combat power. In the future, when our waists are straight, we are not afraid of anyone. Yi Chen looked at the former head of the Zhou family and now the head of the Xianling sect, feeling speechless and reluctantly nodded in agreement. However, I have a few requirements that need to be clarified in advance. Firstly, I will not manage all the miscellaneous matters within the sect. Don't disturb me if you have nothing to do. Secondly, don't give me any sect tasks, except for some special and difficult to refine pills. Don't give me any other alchemy tasks. Thirdly, don't expect to earn cultivation resources for the sect. Fourthly, my disciples must be placed by me, and the sect has no right to inquire. Of course, if the sect encounters major difficulties or crises, I must take action. I will also provide a batch of cultivation resources for the sect. If there are particularly outstanding disciples in the sect, I will also take action to cultivate them. It is best to set up a forbidden area in the cultivation cave. Except for the sect leader, no one is allowed to approach, and there should be no one around to interfere with the cultivation. Yi Chen threw out a bulging storage bag and continued, there are 500 inferior medium-level magic swords, 500 inferior medium-level storage bags, as well as some other cultivation pills and materials, as well as some cultivation techniques, weapons, and equipment such as spirit grass, spiritual medicine, runes, and seal spells. As the starting resource for sect improvement, let's hold a sect recruitment conference recently to expand the sect's foundation and recruit hundreds of new disciples. I can only help here. Zhou Zongzhu looked at the mountains of resources piled up in the storage bag, his hands trembling with excitement. Thank you very much for the gift from the elder. Thank you very much for the gift from the Supreme Elder. The elders and protectors below hurriedly expressed their gratitude and gratitude loudly. Alright, let's not talk about our family. In the future, everyone will work hard to cultivate and build Xianling sect into a first-class sect as soon as possible. Chapter 39. Auction of Flying Boats. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Dear Taoist friends, the following auction will definitely satisfy everyone. The top-grade spirit weapon, a small flying boat, also known as a spirit boat, relies on spirit stones as power and only needs to control the direction. The speed of the flying boat can reach the mid-stage of the golden elixir cultivator's escape speed. During the foundation building period, having a flying boat will give you a superpower, whether it is to escape or pursue, which is a dimensionality-reducing blow and also a great killing weapon. The starting price for the auction is 50,000 spirit stones, and at least 5,000 spirit stones will be added each time. Auction is now starting. 55,000 spirit stones, someone offered for the first private room, and then someone increased the price. 60,000 spirit stones, the fifth private room has taken action. 65,000 spirit stones were added to the fourth private room. The second private room with 70,000 spirit stones, unwilling to be lonely, offered a price. The number 1 private room with 75,000 spirit stones is not to be outdone. 80,000 spirit stones, the fourth private room closely follows. The number 1 private room of the 90,000 spirit stones was filled with a hoarse sound, and it was moving up. Suddenly, there was silence as everyone waited for the fourth private room to continue raising prices. However, after more than a dozen breaths, no one increased the price. A golden core cultivator in the first private room let out a long breath and said, "Zheng Lao Gui, how do you argue with me?" Another dozen or so breaths passed, and no one raised the price. The protagonist's face was beaming with laughter. The commission he could receive for this order was a substantial amount of spirit stone, and he shouted loudly, "This is the first time a 90,000 spirit stone. The 9th time a 90,000 spirit stone." A voice interrupted his quotation. 100,000 spirit stones. Yi Chen finally took action. The third private room Taoist has offered 100,000 spirit stones. Is there any additional price? The first time 100,000 spirit stones. No one raised the price. The second time with 100,000 spirit stones. No one raised the price. The 100,000 spiritual stones. The lead photographer deliberately paused for a moment. The third time 100,000 spirit stones have been sold. The auction hammer fell heavily. Congratulations to the third private room friend for taking the top-grade spirit weapon small flying boat. The next item to be auctioned is a water-based martial arts technique called Jiani Cold Ice Technique, which belongs to the top-grade technique at the prefecture level and is suitable for water-based ice-based cultivators to cultivate. The starting price for the auction is 20,000 spirit stones, with a minimum increase of 2,000 spirit stones each time. Starting now. After dozens of breaths, surprisingly, no one has made a bid yet. According to the theory, this cultivation method is quite good. The cultivation methods are ranked from high to low, with 4 levels of heaven and earth Xianhuang, each of which is further divided into 4 levels. Top.grade, mid-grade, and low.grade. Perhaps there are not many cultivators practicing the water and ice series, or there are not so many spirit stones. It seems that this cultivation method is going to be of a certain genre. Water system cultivation method, 20,000 spirit stones. Has anyone offered a price? The main bidder asked 3 times, but no one offered. I'll give you 20,000 spirit stones. Suddenly, a voice spread from room 3, it's room 3 again. It's not surprising that everyone has become accustomed to it. Which family's second-generation ancestor is this? Your parents won't be angry with the spirit stone of the Huahua family, will they? For Yi Chen, he didn't even notice these spirit stones, and at this moment, nearly 2 million spirit stones were lying in Yi Chen's storage bag. After Yi Chen made a bid, the main bidder made 3 formal counts, but no one increased the price. This technique was also taken into Yi Chen's pocket. Next, dozens of various weapons and equipment were auctioned off, as well as some items that Yi Chen was not interested in. Naturally, he did not make a bid, and other foundation-building cultivators were finally able to freely play and auction off their long-awaited treasures. The Heavenly Gang and Earthly Sha formation is powerful and can easily defeat the late-stage cultivators trapped in the formation. Although it is slightly damaged, it does not affect normal use. It only consumes more spirit stones during use. Each hour of use requires the consumption of 10,000 spirit stones, with a starting price of 50,000 spirit stones. The price is now increasing. No one is bidding. A broken formation costs so much spirit stones that I can't afford to buy them. 10,000 spirit stones per hour, TSK, this is eating spirit stones. 5,000 spirit stones are about the same. The cultivators were discussing extensively, but no one offered. Just as the main auctioneer repeatedly inquired and ignored them, they were preparing to announce the rejection of the auction. Yi Chen made a bid and said, I'll take 50,000 spirit stones. It's the third back private room again, everyone was already accustomed to it, and Yi Chen took another treasure. Finally, the auction has reached its final stage, with the final item being auctioned off. The auctioneer excitedly announced, the final auction item of this auction will be auctioned off below. Please remain calm and not too excited. This auction item is. The lead auctioneer sold a trick, this item is.